Thank you very much, Ken Corla. They often say that a watershed moment is something that is truly life-changing, something that defines a period or an event, a turning point, a starting point, an ending point, that it's change. But how many times have we heard of a watershed moment when it comes to domestic, sexual and gender-based violence? If these past few weeks have shown us anything, it's that we haven't found the solution to the epidemic of sexual and gender-based violence in this country, and the sad reality is that no country has. And that leaves us all asking, how many more times does there need to be a watershed moment? How many more women and men need to waive their right to privacy in order to put a face to a crime? How many more women need to become household names? And that's especially stark when you think that only 5% of those who experience sexual violence have reported it. And those who don't report it, many of them bear the weight alone in isolation. They may feel shame, guilt, they may want to hide from it. They don't want to acknowledge their pain, even though that means sometimes not identifying their perpetrator. As a woman, it's utterly depressing to come into this chamber yet again to discuss this topic yet again. I spoke on this when Aisling Murphy was brutally murdered 2.5 years ago. And in that time, Women's Aid has revealed that there have been 40,000 reports of abuse in 2023 and a 20% increase in 2022. And that's because more women are speaking out, and that's a good thing. They're refusing to bear the weight of this alone in isolation. They don't want to hide. They want their abusers identified. We've had Natasha O'Brien in this gallery after her brutal attack at the hands of an Irish soldier. And all she was doing, and we know it, we know this story, all she was doing was standing up for herself and standing up for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. I got the chance to meet Natasha last week and to commend her for her bravery in person. And I have to say I'm really relieved that the Director of Public Prosecution has lodged an appeal. Bláthnaid Raleigh recently waived her right to remain anonymous following her attack 5 years ago. She was forced to watch her attacker live a completely normal life like nothing had ever happened, whereas she retreated from life. Her right to a normal existence was taken away from her, and she suffered alone in isolation for many years. And the sad reality is that it's often the victim who suffers when it comes to domestic and gender-based violence. And we know from CSO statistics that quite often, 7 out of 10 times, the victim probably knows the perpetrator. We're all tired of this. We're all sick and tired of these stories, of the horror stories, and we're sickened by the experience of victims in courtroom and the betrayal of victims' confidence and trust in the system and in the structures that are meant to be there to help them recover from trauma, not re-traumatise them. It's not right that counselling notes people's innermost thoughts and fears can be used in a courtroom against them when they're the victim. That's wrong and it has to stop, and I so welcome news that Minister Helen McEntee is committed to changing this so that rape survivors' counselling notes won't be used in evidence in criminal trials. The Minister has also brought in Coco's Law to stop the sharing of intimate images without consent, and that's really important. Minister Helen McEntee has been unapologetic in her approach to tackling this. She's opened Cuan, dedicated agency that will deliver our zero-tolerance strategy across society for all forms of abuse. We want to make more refuge spaces available, and that is happening. In my own area, Saoirse Women's Refuge are providing outreach services for women who so need it. Minister Helen McEntee has introduced legislation that creates new standalone offences of non-fatal strangulation and stalking. She's doubled the maximum penalty for assault causing harm to 10 years. She's introduced tougher laws for monitoring sex offenders in the community with the Sex Offenders Act 2023, and she's provided funding to service providers at a level that has risen dramatically from 20 million a year to 59 million euro a year, and I know it'll continue to rise on her watch. We need action, we need change. It starts in homes, it starts in classrooms, it starts in workplaces, it starts in WhatsApp group chats, in the content we watch every day with our friends, with our family. Minister Helen McEntee's plans are all based on improving the prevention, the protection and the persecution and policies in this area. And that's the only way to tackle it from every angle in every way. What she's doing is having a real impact. We're talking policies, we're talking budgets, we're talking laws, we're talking change. And that has to be what unites us all here together, our desire to deliver change on this really important issue.
Thank you very much.